What it is, what it do, you tuned into the Jose Morales podcast. I'm your host, Jose Morales, and we're back in the ring on another solo episode. In this episode, I am gonna be talking about setting goals for your kids and the importance of it before letting them quit something. And then I'm gonna transition that into adults and how this is good, not just for kids, but also for adults and the importance behind it. So you're gonna gain something from this, regardless if you are a parent or not. This is gonna be a good one for you guys. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is the previous episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the previous episode when I was by myself. And in that episode, I had a couple people say a few comments. I actually had a family member send me a video, which is the point of view and everything in the video I agree with. Jackie actually sent me a video of a lady explaining that your kid will always do better, or a person would always do better if they do something they love versus doing something they're being forced to do, which I agree with it 100%. It's actually a great video. And I didn't know if it was coming from because of the past, I kind of related to the past episode where I mentioned how I was forcing my son to box. And I wanted to kind of dive into that and explain why there's a difference in the age and when you do it. I think I mentioned it in the previous episode that at 8, 9, 10 years old is a good time to have your kids do something. And because you're starting to create the discipline and build a character that they're gonna have lifelong. Anything that your kid does at an infant age, a child 5, 6, as they grow, anything before they hit the teenage years, under 12, 11, 10, all those years, you're developing lifelong habits that they will have forever and ever and ever. And this is where I am and why I am using boxing to build that for my kid. The age group that they were talking about in the video, it was like, it was as a career. Like, hey, if you have your kid be a soccer player because he wants to be a soccer player, he's always gonna do it better because that's what he wants to do. They're talking career path. They're talking teenage years and adult years and that. I'm not gonna force my kid to do boxing as a career and as when they're 19, 20, because I'm not telling them right now, you're gonna box forever and this is the only thing you're gonna do. I just want him to learn the habits and the discipline and things that you can benefit from, characters that's gonna be built with boxing. That's why I'm forcing him at 8 years old to do it. I'm not gonna force him to do this. If let's say he still hates it and or just hates boxing when he's 15, he won't be boxing if he hates it and that's what he wants. If he wants to do it, he can do it, but I'm not gonna force it on him. And that's kind of where I'm gonna dive in with this episode, is kind of explain all this and also explain and transition this to everything else as far as adults and how we live and how this can affect us with changing this, making these changes. Another reason why I wanted to talk about this, I had my Ruben come over to my house, a good friend of mine, and his daughter trains at the gym. And she has hearing impairment where she can't hear certain things, and especially if there's music and it's loud or there's a lot of people or we turn her and give our back, and she's in our boxing classes. And some days, her very first day, she was super excited, and they were talking to me about this when they were on the house. Some days she's super excited, and then some days she doesn't want to come, and then it's like that. And he's like, I don't know if I want to force her to keep going if she doesn't want to do it. And then I also don't want to let her quit. And then that's when I was talking to her, I got into this spill and talking to him, explaining this to him. He's like, you know what, you need to put this on a podcast. I'm like, you know what, you're right. And boom, that was another reason why I knew this episode would be good to have. And what I explained to him is, first is, I said, maybe we need to do a one-on-one lesson with her. Maybe we should do privates instead of class, because if the class structure for her is hard for her, maybe one-on-one with someone she looks up to, like another female, like Amy. Maybe she trains with Amy one-on-one once a week, and we give her homework assignments. So like, let's say she comes in Monday, does 30 minutes with Amy, and then Amy tells her, hey, work on your jab 2 days a week on your own. And then the next day, next week that she comes in, you check on her, see how she's doing, and you build on that. Hey, has she been practicing on her own? Has she been doing that? You hold her accountable for her to do it. And then you make it fun for her when she does it. Like when she does it, and she's like, and she finally started growing and she started doing things the way she does it, she starts feeling accomplished. And this is where I think the goal setting is important. And what I mean by that is not just with boxing. I'm gonna use boxing because that's my field, but this with everything. Give your child, or even yourself, if you do something, set yourself a goal. Like with your kid. If your kid is boxing, again, using it for example, tell them you're not gonna stop boxing until you accomplish this. Like with my son, I said until you win one fight, because I can see he's capable of doing that. You know your child, you know what he's capable of doing or not. If let's say your child is not more of an athletic type, or he's not really like that, you can tell he's just not gonna thrive in a sport like boxing, let's just say. Give him something that is something he's gotta work towards, that is gonna be difficult, but not so difficult that he can accomplish. Meaning something like, go to boxing, but once you spar 10 times, you did it 10 times, once you do that, then we can decide to quit after that. But I'm not gonna let you quit right now until you spar 10 times. Does that make sense? So now when they spar 10 times, the first few times is gonna be hard. And let's say even that is too much. Hey, you know what? Let's do it until you are able to shadow box comfortable for 4 rounds and you can jump rope for 10 minutes. Now that's something that can work. And the reason why I like accomplishment goals better than time goals is the difference between the two. An accomplishment goal is something you gotta work towards to accomplish it. It's not something that, like a time goal that I'm gonna do this for 3 months, and then once the 3 months are done, I'm done with this. Because now you can train them by doing that. You can easily train them that they can just go for 3 months, put no effort, and just be there for 3 months, and they're done with it. I don't think that's the way to go about it, because now you're gonna train them, again, to when they become adults, to it's okay to go to school for 8 hours, not learn shit, not put 0 effort. Hey, but I went to school. Or as an adult, it's okay to go to work for 8 hours, not be productive at all, but I clocked in and clocked out, and I did nothing to grow, nothing to get better, and worked with no purpose. That's what you're training them to do. Versus now you have somebody that is, if they hate boxing that much, if they hate the whatever it is that they're doing that much, they're gonna work hard to accomplish whatever it is, because you know why? They're tired of doing it. And if they're that tired of doing it, they're gonna push harder. Like going back to my son, I told him you gotta win one fight. If you don't win and you fight and you lose and you fight and lose and you fight and lose and you lose and you did it 5 times, what are you doing wrong? And maybe it's effort. So until you show me effort, until you change that and you change this, then that outcome's gonna change. And when he makes that change, boom, you win, now you're done with it. That change is gonna come from you being tired of doing something you dislike, you being tired of living the life you have. And that change is gonna come because you are destined to change that, because you're tired of it. And that's, if you think about it, that's how a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that come. And that's how they arise, is they arise from being tired of the life they have, the job they hate, this and that. They get so fed up with it after getting yelled at by their boss so much and all that, that they, boom, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna pursue this. That's the kind of habit you wanna get your child to experience at a young age. Try different things, set goals for them that are not too difficult, but they're achievable for them. Short goals that are achievable for them in whatever field they are. And then once they achieve that goal, then you can talk about quitting or continuing. But first, let's accomplish this goal. Don't just stop the moment they don't want to do it. And I think this is where we need to work with kids, is helping them feel accomplished. When you help them, when you get them to feel accomplished, they know their value a lot better. They know their value a lot more. What I mean by that is, with workers, as adults, you have people that work very hard and they're busting their ass at work. You know, like, man, I'm worth every penny they pay me. I'm even worth more because you know what you bring to the table. You know your value. You know who you are. It's similar, but with life. When you have kids that you're constantly having them accomplish things and they see they can do them, little baby steps, little goals, and they start changing with time of how they act because they keep crushing these little accomplishments, they start feeling better about themselves. They hold their value a lot higher. For example, I had this story that I talked with this girl recently. She took her test, 12-year-old, yeah, she's 12 years old. She took her test to move up to start sparring and all that. And when she did this, and she was real shy, and I asked her, I'm like, you think she should pass? And she was just sitting there, and she was like, yeah. And I'm like, you have to know you pass. You have to act like you pass. You got to talk like you pass. You have to bring that, because if you don't, you're leaving that up to me. What I mean by that is, regardless if you failed or passed, you got to come in with that confidence that, I do belong here and I know my value. Because now, if you don't know your value, that is up to me. Now, I'm going to tell you where you're worth. And as when you become an adult and you go on in life, now you're going to leave it up to your employer to tell you how much you're worth and how much he's going to pay you or she's going to pay you. Or your significant other, they're going to tell you what your worth is, when really you should know your worth. Don't ever let no one validate what you're worth and what they think that you're worth. Does that make sense? And I was explaining this to the girl, and she just started smiling, and she was kind of like, okay, it started clicking for her. I'm like, never doubt yourself. And I'm like, because she aced the test, she did amazing, but then her answer to it was very, very insecure. Versus I'm like, there's nothing for her to be insecure about. The insecurity just came from with her because that's how she feels about herself. And then I gave her homework. I'm like, this is what you're gonna do to fix yourself. Every day when you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror, or you walk by, and you gotta tell yourself good things. You gotta look at yourself, and you gotta tell yourself good things, repeat good things to yourself. Fuck, I'm beautiful, man, I'm badass, man, I make this dress look good, look at this shirt. And it sounds weird as hell, but doing things like this over and over and over, it gives you belief. And it starts making you like, you really start seeing yourself like, oh, I am good looking. Oh, you know what? And that starts changing the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself. And that was her homework assignment I gave her, because there was no reason for her to be insecure. And now going back to what and transitioning that back to what I was telling my guy, Ruben, with his daughter, was we need that to build her value. I mean, not build her value, build her confidence in knowing that she could do this. And on top of that, what are we gonna teach her if the first day she doesn't feel like going to boxing, you as a parent, oh, you know what? Let's not go. You're right. You don't feel like going? Stay home. What are we teaching them by doing that? And then the day they want to quit, oh, you don't want to go to boxing no more? You want to go do something else? Okay, let's quit. You're teaching them that it's okay to quit when things get hard. That is exactly what you're teaching your kids. You are teaching your kids that when things get hard, it's okay to turn and walk away and not continue to put and persevere through tough times. And when they get older and school gets hard, relationship gets hard, as soon as a relationship gets hard, they're gonna want a divorce. They're not gonna want to persevere, figure out what can we come to the conclusion to fix our marriage. Why? Because they have this habit that started at 8 years old that mom and dad always allowed them to quit when things got difficult. And when they didn't feel like doing it, it was okay for them. That's the habit. And that is what I'm talking about. Why I put my son to do this, because that's what I want him to learn from this. I want him to learn all this so that when he's older, he has the experience of accomplishing something that he had to work hard to accomplish. And this reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever watched it, there's this video of Kobe Bryant, there's an interview, and Kobe Bryant is a badass video. And if you know me, I'm not a big Kobe Bryant fan. So for me to say this video is badass is gonna take a lot. And this interview is, I think it was like 20 minutes long, something like that. It's a long interview. Was with Patrick, I forgot his name, but he's in an interview with this guy. And he talks about a lot of shit, deep shit. He talks about all sorts of stuff. But one of the things he mentions is how he sets a contract with himself. At the beginning of the season, he sets a contract with himself. His wife told him, he's like, if you're gonna be away from this long, you better win the championship. I don't want nothing less. Like, if you're gonna sacrifice family time, you're gonna sacrifice all this, I expect something in return of that. And I expect you to do something in basketball. Don't sacrifice all that and not do shit. So Kobe mentioned how he made a contract with himself that of all the things he was gonna do, and he stuck with it. So when he didn't want to do something, when days got rough and it was very easy to be lazy, very easy not to do shit, he reminded himself of that contract. He's like, I ain't negotiating shit. The contract signed. The contract signed that I'm gonna do this. It's time to get the fuck up and do it. And this is where we all need this. With kids, it's easier because as parents, we're gonna create that habit. We're helping them create that habit at a young age when they're getting that built in internally. But as adults, it's much difficult, especially if you weren't raised that way. And this is where we need to set goals for ourselves. Not goals, we need to sign contracts with ourselves as far as, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna stop doing this until this. It could even be work related, it could be personal life, relationship wise, anything, set goals that you need to accomplish before that. And this kind of reminds me right now also of, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm drinking water only. I'm on week 3 of drinking water. Been multiple times that I wanted to quit. When I was in Idaho, I was so close to drinking Dutch Rolls one day. Super close. And this came from this, from I reminded myself, no. I made an agreement with myself. I'm gonna do it for a solid month. After that month, I probably will still drink water, but I'm probably gonna drink something maybe once a week that I'm gonna reward myself. Like, hey, once a week you can drink a Dutch Bros, but I wanna feel like I worked for it and I earned it, and it's more like a treat to me, not just something I'm always gonna have there. I wanna appreciate it more, and I wanna enjoy it a lot more than something I just do every day just cause. And I think I want to motivate you guys to make sure you guys set that for yourselves. That kind of be the recap for that. Not just for you as parents, but as you as yourselves. Do different things and set a contract with yourself, and don't stop until you finish your contract. It's like you got hired for that job, but you hired yourself to finish this job. And whatever that job may be, get it done. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you gained something from it, or you know anyone that could gain something from this, like, share, leave a review, and send this video, send this podcast to somebody so they can listen. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys have a great Monday. I'll be back next Monday. I'm probably gonna have a guest for the next episode, as long as everything goes as planned. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm out. Deuces.